Happy Thursday, everyone. So, you are currently busy negotiating Chapter 3 of the new Jim Crow, and our group has posted their presentations of that, and you're engaging in the discussion. And then I also asked you to brainstorm a whole series of stereotypes that are commonly perpetuated that you're aware of the Black community, of the Black body, of Black culture in America. And so you have been brainstorming that, and you have been thinking about Chapter 3 in the new Jim Crow. The brainstorm, as you are aware, is in preparation for your first major essay in the class, which is the investigation of Black stereotype. And I'm sure that you have looked at the prompt. This is due at the end of the week. This is, as I say in the prompt, a way to look the subject in the face, much in the way that Robin DiAngelo is arguing that we need to do more of in order to really battle racism, that we cannot simply avoid racism. We cannot simply act as if we do not possess or embody systemic racist ideas. But instead, if we truly want to combat racism, we have to look it in the face, we have to acknowledge it, and we have to then understand and recognize where we embody it, largely unknowingly, right? So this first essay is a way for us to at once examine something that perhaps has been a curiosity all along as to why is a particular stereotype existing, and then two, to kind of uncover through that process of a specific examination how stereotype even proliferates itself to begin with. So we want to be engaging in this action as a way to then reflect upon the textualities that we've been examining already in the class through DiAngelo, through Rothstein, and certainly through Alexander. This is all, again, to culminate into a cloud of influence that hopefully has us make determinations for ourselves about who we are as agents of a society and culture that live within a systemic racist world, and how we are going to negotiate those things. So, in many ways, I hope that this first major essay is a profoundly personal effort on your part. You want to explore one of these stereotypes that maybe you even have possessed, or you feel like is founded in some kind of truth. There is nothing wrong with those presumptions, so long as you then investigate and figure out why those presumptions are made, right? And that is the goal of the essay, to really complicate that perspective and to uncover, okay, why is this part of the national imagination? Okay, full stop. So then, while you're investigating that, I'm also asking you to read Kennedy and Kennedy's Sleep Deprivation Chamber, which is a very contemporary play and is a very fascinating one. In particular, this play incorporates real life events into something that may, as a theatrical text, feel kind of delirious to you. And Kennedy and Kennedy's play, which addresses a very real experience, something that actually happened to one of them, is an example of another form or strategy of decolonial text that we call literary reportage, which is a combination of journalistic elements with elements of fiction. And I've prepared a PowerPoint because I really want you to have something referential to use as a way to reflect on this play. Because this is a kind of text, this reportage, that is utilized within marginal communities quite often as a means to decolonize the hegemonic notion of history and the idea of, it begins to problematize the idea that journalism is or can ever be unbiased. And we understand that journalism even has an ethic to try to be as objective as possible, yes? And so it is presumed that journalism embodies that ethic as much as possible, yes? Which means that we tend to assign journalism a kind of authority for that which is unbiased. Well, we know as of late, especially in the last few years, that there's been a lot of criticism around journalism for inherently possessing a bias. In the past few years in particular, a political bias. And literary reportage as an artistic medium certainly is also engaged in that critique. But it does so in a different way. Whereas a lot of the current criticisms around journalism have to do with political leaning, a lot of what the strategies of literary reportage is critiquing is the idea that, of course, journalism can't be fully unbiased because it is created by human beings and it is wrapped in a very biased technology called language, which language in and of itself possesses bias. Now, that is not to say that we shouldn't attempt in our journalism and in our scholarship to present information in an unbiased manner. What literary reportage is saying is that it cannot fully be done. And in fact, it is not the best tool to decolonize the cultural hegemony of our society. Meaning that we can create literature that at once utilizes or references that which is real and then subverts this idea of the reporting of the real ever being fully authoritative or unbiased. So literary reportage performs the telling of history in a way that is very consciously not relying on journalistic integrity as a way to tell an unbiased story. That ultimately we will always possess hegemonic structures informing the way that we tell the truth. And so we eschew that to some degree and instead focalize on the perspectives of those that might not be in the position of beneficiary of journalism. I'm going to leave it at that. Comb through my PowerPoint. It has definitions and characteristics of literary reportage. And then think about how Kennedy and Kennedy's play, Sleep Deprivation Chamber, might be incorporating this particular creative strategy as a way to decolonize the American mind, and in particular, the Black American experience. Okay. I also threw one of my essays that I published in my recent book that came out in March into this, just so that you can see another version of it and how literary reportage can be used as a way to problematize the potential hegemonic authority of the journalistic report. Okay. So that's it for this week. Enjoy this play. I think it's brilliant. Have fun researching the essay on Black stereotype. And when we come back next week, we're going to jump into another chapter of Jim Crow with a presentation. And then we're going to be reading Suzan-Lori Parks's Top Dog Underdog, which is a Pulitzer Prize winning play from the early 2000s that explores yet another form of decolonial strategy. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll see you then.